أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله لا شريك له وحده وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. I greet you, brothers and sisters, with the greetings of peace and paradise. Assalamu alaikum. As I sat here today, my second time as being a guest of the Muslim Students Association of Howard University, and I thank Sister Nisa Muhammad for the invitation, for bringing me back, and I thank her even more for the lecture that has been provided. The first time I was here, I had to hold my books and everything with one hand and draw. It was kind of awkward. So I asked her to provide a lecture, and she's done that. It's a beautiful one. The other thing that I noticed is I'm glad I have these are Alaskan socks. The heat in here, I don't know, some brothers are barefoot, but I mean, I'm glad I have on some warm socks because it's kind of cold. So these socks we got on a trip to visit our grandson who was in the Air Force, Air Force Base in Fairbanks. And this time also I'm privileged to have my wife with me. Last time I was here, it was her birthday. It was December the 1st, 2017, December the 1st. So she did not kick me out for going and doing Jummah on her birthday. As a matter of fact, that was our 44th year, and now we're headed into our 45th year of marriage. For those of you who haven't done that, just my advice is make a decision that is bigger than yourself. Make a decision that puts faith in Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the community. It may not be a perfect match for you via matchmate, but if your soul is saying, go ahead and do it, trust your belief, trust faith, and for the right reasons do it, and Allah will bless you, because a happy marriage, or a reasonably happy marriage, is the closest thing that we can get to paradise. I'm convinced of that. When you walk out of the house, you're walking out of a garden. The garden is what you've cultivated. It's a peaceful place, a place of solace. You know, today I want to talk about, in the first part of the khutbah, and that is kind of a continuation of what I talked about last time. I want to talk about Ar-Rafi. You know, in Surah 49, Allah gives us some of His attributes. And this is when they were having problems in Medina with the group that had to be banished because they were just troublemakers. And the last part of the surah ends, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Allahu la ilaha illahu alimul ghaibi wa shahadahu ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. والله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن والعزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. Allah is He than whom there is no other God, the Sovereign, the Holy One, the source of peace, that's in perfection, the guardian of faith, the preserver of safety, the exalted in might, the irresistible, al-Mutakabir, the supreme. Subhanallah, amma yushrikum. Glory to Allah, high is He above the partners they attribute to Him. He is Allah, the creator, the evolver, the bestower of forms. To Him belong the most beautiful names. Whatever is in the heavens and the earth that declare His praises and glory, and He is the exalted in might, the wise. And we can go on down the list of the so-called 99 names of Allah, the 99 attributes, and it's a very exciting construct, 99 names. We know that Allah has more than 99 names. But traditionally, there's just 99 names. And it's a fascinating formula to remember Allah through. And I want to go just a little further into these attributes. If you start with Al-Musawwir, you also Al-Khaliq, Al-Bari, Al-Musawwir, Al-Ghaffar, forgive me, Al-Qahhar, Al-Wahhab, Al-Razak, Al-Fatah, Al-Alim, Al-Qabid, Al-Basit, then Al-Khafi, the abaser, then Arafi. That's what I'm talking about today. Arafi, one who raises. That is Allah. Arafi. Arafi is so significant. I was showing some of the brothers before we said the Adhan pictures of Hajj. My wife and I were blessed beyond measure to participate in Hajj in 2018. Hajj changes your life. That's all you can say. You just never are the same. How can you be when you see 2.3 million people trying to well, let's say they're 2.3 million. Let's hope that at least 2.2999 are really are there for the right purpose. There are people there who are there to exploit and give problems, but those people are a very small minority, and you can avoid problems, but you do have problems on Hajj. I mean, the logistics are such that you're going to have problems. Just trying to use the bathroom is a problem. It's a challenge, and patience is tested. It's so hot. It was 110 degrees. They have a lot of water and fans, but it's just hot. And that's Saudi Arabia. You know, that's Mecca, and we'll get into that a little minute later. But you have to go to Arafat. Arafat is a version of Rafi. It means raised, exalted. Allah has given us a creation that is so wondrous. And if we want to find out how much glory there is on it, all we have to do is really look up something on Google. You know, this khutbah is dedicated in a way to two people who are past. Most recently, the great Dr. Suleiman Yang. Oh, how we love Dr. Yang. May Allah reward him with the best of his deeds and grant him a high place in paradise, right beside Imam W.D. Muhammad, who is also one of our mentors and with whom association we came up through. One of the things that we learned in the precursor community to the community led by Imam Muhammad is what's called the actual facts. We had this thing called the actual facts. And one of the facts was, what is the weight of the earth? And the answer was, the earth weighs 6 sextillion tons. 6 sextillion tons. And a unit followed by 21 ciphers. So I checked that out. I just yesterday Googled it. I said, hey Google, what's the weight of the earth? You know what Google gave me? 5.972 sextillion tons. Well, 5.972 is very close to 6. So I said, oh. Now this wisdom came in the 30s and the 40s to the followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, right? While they were trying to basically extract themselves, separate themselves, and save themselves from the destructive tendencies and the destructive context of the American situation, which of course put African Americans at the very bottom. And Allah says in the Quran that He has raised the sky. Arafi, He has raised the sky, and it's held up without any pillars that we can see. So I want to know, well, how much does the sky weigh? Again, according to Wikipedia and the sources, and it's a very scientific way that you can evaluate this. What they've done is they measured the weight of a column of 1 inch all the way from the ground zero all the way up to the end of the atmosphere, and they found that one square inch all the way equals about 14.7 pounds. So when you take that inch, that square inch, and mathematically compute by extrapolation, you come up with the number of 58 quadrillion, 500 trillion tons. That's what the atmosphere weighs. Allah has this atmosphere held up without any pillars that we can see. I mean, why doesn't it collapse? Why doesn't it fall? It has weight. Because Allah is the creator and sustainer of all the worlds and all the systems of knowledge, and we are only beginning to probe exactly what, in terms of physics, chemistry, allows this to exist. You know, it's funny how we always point to the sky when we want to. As a matter of fact, Allah says in the Quran to the Prophet, we see thee pointing your gaze to the heavens, right? And Abraham, he looked to the heavens to see, what was going on out there. And it's typical for us to look up when we want to express our thankfulness or regard to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or to a supreme being. Look, the guy scores a touchdown, right? First thing he does is go in the end zone after he spikes the ball. We had a little celebration, he's looking up, right? What are they looking up for? Well, I was on a motorcycle trip to Alaska. This is before my wife and I went to the other, and I was on a motorcycle trip. I was coming out of Kansas. I was on a BMW luxury tour with two other police officers, or retired police officers. I like motorcycling. Been motorcycling since 1968. And so we were on our way to Alaska. And I'm sorry, it wasn't Kansas, Iowa. Coming out of the farmland, and it was so beautiful. I had a symphony in the ear on my headset. My dad raised me to love symphonic music. I think it was Rachmaninoff. I mean, the music, da 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 da. It was just the peak experience, quintessential. I was ready. It was an E.T. moment. You remember E.T. when the theme comes on and E.T. elevates or levitates and rides off right up into the. Well, E.T. had a home, and I was thinking, boy, if I could just lift off this motorcycle is getting ready to lift off the ground. And then I said, well, wait a minute, where would I be going? Let's see, would I be going up in the sky? But wait a minute, the clouds? What about the atmosphere? What about the oxygen? I mean, then I started to say, well, so the ascension that everybody refers to, the ascension of Jesus, who was supposed to have ascended, or even the prophet's ascension, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he made the mirage, and was supposed to, some people believe, physically transported from Mecca to Jerusalem. A physical transportation doesn't seem likely. Where are you going to go? How are you going to breathe? The oxygen is gone. It's going to be cold. Actually, you're going to be dead. DOA by the time you get there, if you try that physically. So that convinced me that the elevation of mankind, the elevation of men, the elevation of thought, is an elevation of thought. It's an elevation of consciousness. It's an elevation of into the spiritual dimension. It is not physical. So all this pointing to the sky that we do is symbolic. But let's not look at things on a, I would say, kind of a kindergarten level. The physics of the sky, the physics of the earth, the physics of the universe are self-explanatory. There is mathematics, and there are other sciences, and I'm convinced that at the rate that we are going, almost geometrically, in terms of exponential explosion of knowledge, we will soon be penetrating secrets. As you know, in the Surah Al-Rahman, Allah says, you, oh men, you can move beyond, but not without sultan, authority. Can you pass beyond the zones of heaven? So you can pass, he says, Allah says, pass thee, right? But not without authority will you be able to pass. And what does that mean, authority? Well, to me it means respect and recognition of the great truths that I have put in the earth and in the universe. So this Rafi, this attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has raised the heavens to such heights, is a sign for us to do the same in our own lives. I do want to mention something that I hope will help us in our understanding of Rafi and also in the faculty of living high, thinking high, going high, being high. There is a chapter in the Quran, Al-Araf, number 7. Very significant. 7 is always a significant number. And here, the 7, which means spiritual completion, really. It's why we do 7 tawaf, right? It's why we have, there's 7 heavens. They said we have 7 gates to hell in heaven. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 gates to paradise, 7 gates to inferno. And although most translators translate Al-Araf as the heights, this particular translator, and I'll admit, I'm still on the plantation of translation, if you will. When I read the Quran, I like to have, I delve into the Arabic, but I also have 3 or 4 translations at hand. I like this brother's treatment. His name is Asad, Muhammad Asad, of many of the chapters of the Quran. He translates Al-Araf as the faculty of discernment. As if he's saying that our ability to discern things in the material world and also to discern right from wrong, to make spiritual discernments, is what distinguishes us as creatures from other parts of creation. So he calls this the faculty of discernment, not the heights. And just incidentally, I wanted to tell you, one of the reasons I like this translation is in the same surah, Al-Araf, you remember a very troubling metaphor that we have where it says that it's easier for, it said in the Bible and in the Quran, some translations, either for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Does that ever make any sense to you? I mean, I tried to visualize it, and then I've seen some illustrations where people calling the door of a wall around the city a camel. I mean, an eye of a needle. No, that doesn't make sense. So what Assad does, and if you get this translation and study it, he says, they shall not, this is Surah Ayat 40 in Surah 7, he says, they shall not enter paradise any more than a twisted rope can pass through a needle's eye. A twisted rope. And he gives the etymology of the word Jamal, which is camel, Jamal, J-A-M-A-L. He gives it as actually a corruption of the original Jummah, J-U-M-A-L, or J-U-M-L, or J-U-M-U-L, and says that the Greek version of the Synoptic Gospels, originally composed in Aramaic, and Aramaic has been lost. This doesn't exist anymore. They don't know what it is. But they messed up the translation, so they've got this impossible metaphor where a camel is trying to go through the eye of a needle. No, it means a twisted rope. That's right here on page 208 of this translation. And that's the kind of thing that commends this translation to the intellectual, the intelligence. There is no substitute for intelligence. And then the second part of the khutbah, I will try to bring it a little bit more home as to how Allah's attribute of raising people up has affected our history and can also impact on us as individuals. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. O Allah, give us the good in this world and the hereafter, and save us from the judgment of the fire. I'm involved with some of the children in the Sunday weekend class in an exercise. We're actually doing a series of songs on the 99 names, and Rafi is an attribute that we are about to approach. And the verse that has been written for, it's a rap, it's kind of a hip hop band. And it says, Rafi is the exalter, raising to the highest level. He can make a nobody into somebody special. Don't underestimate this power. It's extremely consequential. It's how a lonely desert orphan became the world's most influential. One of the great lessons of Hajj to us was the nothingness that is Mecca. The nothingness that is that whole region. It's rock, granite, rock, and dust. It is totally barren. It is just austere. The only thing that makes that habitable is what? Zamzam. Zamzam, discovered by Hajar, an African woman, a woman of African origin, whom Ibrahim, alayhi salam, left in the desert with Ishmael. And when you're going between Safa and Marwa, you are reenacting Hajar's frantic effort to find some source of life, right? And Allah caused this well to spring up at the feet of Ishmael. And then she goes, Zam. What does Zam mean in Arabic? I didn't know this till I was over there. Zam means stop. So she said, stop. Because she thought the water was going to run out. But guess what? Yeah, I got some Zamzam at home. You can get Zamzam from the Turkish mosque out there in Prince George's County, in Atlanta. They sell it just $4 a bottle. It's certified. Zamzam is plentiful. But apart from Zamzam, there's no water. I mean, I didn't see a tree or a shrub. I did in Medina. Oh, you'll see water in Medina. You'll see oasis in Medina. But in Mecca, so what does it say? This says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raised up the most influential person in human history in the middle of nothing. And that's his power. And that's the power that he gives to us if we rely on him and do as he commands, as Ibrahim did. This is the beautiful of Ibrahim. This is the beautiful story of Ibrahim. Ibrahim, was totally dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He didn't have an agenda. The agenda that they had for him was to worship the same gods that were worshipped in Ur, that his father worshipped. He said, no, I can't do that. My intelligence. So what does this tell us? It says that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us, this little teeny bit of his being. When he told the angels, I taught Adam the nature of things. In other words, the name of things. He knows how to classify things. He knows how to scientifically break down stuff. Now, you bow to him. And all of the angels bowed. There was one, though, who was not an angel. He was actually a jinn, Iblis. He said, I'm not bowing down to him. I know more than him. This guy is just mud, fashioned in shape. I'm fire. I know how to analyze, break down stuff, and blah, blah, blah. And this guy is unworthy of dominion over creation. And Allah says, this is the way that leads straight to me. They figured out, why did Allah allow Satan to do that? Well, every time you go to the gym, you find out. If you don't have anything, and every time we run into problems, we find out, right? If we have no resistance, we get weak. Shaitan is our exercise. He's our resistance. You don't have anything to resist, there's no fun. And everybody says, well, I can't wait to get to heaven. I'm not going to have any problem. Listen, if heaven is the Jannah, and the Jannah is a garden, you think you're going to just be able to just live around? What happens if you have a garden and just sit around? Why, the weeds grow up. Even the plants that were nice, they become problems. You have to work. We have to work. Always we have to work. But guess what? When you love your work, it's not work. When I was a lawyer, my wife would say, we would go on vacation, we'd come back, and my wife would say, well, I got to go back to work. You got to go back to work. And I said, excuse me, dear. You go to work, I go to court. I love my work. It was like life. There's a lot of problems, usually other people's problems. Hopefully you get paid for those problems, right? Help them solve those problems. But the point is, if you love what you're doing, it is a labor of love, and it just causes you to grow. So Allah, by just giving us just a little smidgen of his being, he is the one who raised us. And he gave that to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and gave us an example that we can follow. I'm not ashamed to tell people, yes, I follow the most successful man in human history. Jesus is okay, but he didn't have a wife. You know, he didn't have a house. He didn't have a government. He was gone at age 33, most 36. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a complete man. He was supremely successful on the spiritual and the physical level. Now, what has happened, unfortunately, is that the West has vilified Prophet Muhammad. Oh boy, you remember I was so sad when John Allen Muhammad, remember, killed all those people. Every time Muhammad does it wrong, we just are ashamed. But today, inshallah, as we recite the prayer, I hope to recite in Shira. And think about when Allah says in the Quran, وَرَفَعَنَا لَكَ ذِكْرًا, and we have raised high the esteem in which thou art held, right? So he found the Prophet, the Prophet was already a man of integrity because they called him Al-Amin. And it's funny, when you look at, when you're there in Mecca and you look out and you see from, if you have a higher elevation, you can see Jabal al-Nur. You can see the cave, and many people go up to the cave. It takes about a whole day to go there. I didn't have time to go there, and it was just so hot. But it looks like a dome. It's one of the highest places, probably the highest place around the city, right? So it looks like a dome. It looks like the head of a beehive. It's very significant looking. And the fact that the Prophet ﷺ was given the command to read, to exercise his mind, to become way more than himself. He didn't have the formal education. He couldn't do any of this stuff. It was inspiration that led him to this. So Allah has given us in his human being the example that he set. Compare that with the example that we have today. I don't know if you saw it, but the exposition that Michael Cohen put on President Trump, that was historically dramatic. You talk about soap operas or whatever. I mean, this beat anything that I've ever seen. It was, and here is a leader of the free world, and his lawyer, who was intimate with him in terms of transactional, is calling him a liar, a thief, a man with no integrity. Did anybody ever say that about our prophet? Did anybody really say that? I mean, could anybody say that? Ibrahim, yeah, they can criticize him. He destroyed the idols. But he told them, look, hey, ask the big one over there. He'll tell you, I didn't do anything. And they say, well, you can't do it. So he was just making mockery of their foolishness. And the prophet, yeah, he killed some people, probably. Jesus didn't. But then, you know, the prophet came around different circumstances. What I want to say, though, is that we do need to do a whole lot of work to improve the image of Muslim. And Allah has given us the wherewithal. He's given us all of his attributes. If you look at the attributes of Allah, so many of them are love. Don't let us allow the Christians to have a monopoly on love. We need more love in our community. We need more brotherhood. And I must say that on Hajj, although I found the spirit of worship and the spirit of obedience, I didn't find that much brotherhood. I found that in the Million Man March. Oh yeah, I went down the Million Man March. It's like a love fest. First time that African American men have been, 1995, been together in that since we got off the ship. And it was a horizontal kind of love. Hajj is vertical. Everybody trying to pray, ask for forgiveness, ask for dispensation, and just right themselves with God. But then when you come back, and as we conclude, I think about the peace cross. They're trying to, in Maryland, they're trying to do away with the peace cross. You know, it's at Bladensburg Road. There's the cross. You know, Imam W.D. Muhammad pointed out that the cross is not a Christian symbol. The cross is a universal symbol. The cross means vertical aspirations, vertical growth and development toward the heaven. That same heaven I just mentioned, right? But then you come down and you spread it out. And you give blessings to people over here on the right, blessings to the left, you share it. That is really what the cross is meant to convey, and balance. The cross is a balance thing. Now, other people have changed it into a sign of death or, you know, a sign of religion, but that's not really good. The first Christians used the fish. So don't let people basically pull the wool over our eyes. We have the knowledge, we've got the pattern, we've got the perfect example. Not an angel, not a son of God, as there are no sons of God. We are all sons and daughters of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that sense. But we have a human being with problems, prospects, but ultimately triumphant. And we thank Allah for him. We thank Allah for those who are making him more real to us. And we thank Allah for the opportunity to make him more real to others. Amen.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا